There we go. All right, we've got the recording going and I'll kick it off. So, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us for the Crawling 101 webinar. My name is Samantha Maines and I'm the Artist and Communications Coordinator at the Side Art Society. Before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge that we are virtually presenting this workshop on the unceded, ancestral, and traditional territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. As guests, we are truly grateful to learn, work, and gather on these lands. A few housekeeping items for this Zoom session. Please remain on mute during the presentation. We ask folks to grab their devices, whether it's their phone, their tablet, or their desktop web browser. To follow along, I'm going to go through some of the CRAL website navigation, and we will be hosting questions throughout the workshop, or we can do some questions at the end. If you have some questions, feel free to raise your hand or put it up in the chat or just unmute. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce our panel. We have longtime CRAL artist Laura Clark joining us today, and we have CRAL artist and EAS Program and Administration Coordinator Steph Dewey. So thank you all for joining us. I will kick it off. I'll jump into the technical things from an artist coordinator perspective, and we will pass it off to Laura and then Steph. So I am going to jump over here and I'm going to share my screen. Let's see here. Where are we here? Start share. Okay. So can everyone see the CRAL website?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. So this is the landing page for the Culture Crawl website. And as artists, we are wanting to go to two places. If you need artist information, we have a For Artists section up here. And that's a drop-down menu. And we have returning artist information, we have new artist information, we have a summary of the CRAL deadlines, which I will get into in terms of the CRAL programming and the printed program, and then Crawling 101. So anything that we don't cover in this session here today, Crawling 101 is a great resource. It's a summary of different things to work towards, suggestions, and best practices. So that is a great resource there. So this is the For Artists section, but when you are looking to register or update your CRAL profile with including your images, you're going to go up to the top right corner to artist login. And so that you press that and it will take you to a page that looks like this. This is the landing page for the Culture CRAL artist profile. And a point where a lot of artists get stuck is they don't fully complete their profile every year. And complete, like full completion of the profile is essential for being visible on the front of the website. So I'll jump over to what we see when you fill out your profile fully is you end up on the front of the Explore Our Artists for the current year. And you have a featured image, your name, and a brief summary of your bio. And when you jump into your profile, you can have multiple images, you can have your bio, you can have your address, your building attached, and any contacts. So you can list your email, you can list your website and your socials. So this is really important for folks and audience members to get in touch with you if they say they saw your work in the studio and want to reach out for commissions or really did want to come back for that painting that they loved, stuff such like that. So and this resource on the CRAL website is incredibly important. It lives up on the site year-round until the next registration period. And as an administrator, we get a lot of people asking for different kinds of artworks, anything from custom inquiries to say even like film sets or anything that where people need artists and they need especially like media specific. So they're looking for, say, a ceramicist, or they're looking for fiber artists or anything like that. This is an essential resource, and we drive a lot of people to the Crawl website saying, oh, you can filter for ceramic artists and you can find them here. Here's everyone that participates in the Crawl. So we drive a lot of people looking for artwork to the Crawl website, and people can find you all year round. So it's really important that you fill this out. But it's especially important that you have it filled out in time for the deadline for the Crawl. So having everything completed in order to show up on the front of the website is important for during the Crawl. But what is really important is that when we download the information for all the registered artists for the Crawl program, which you've seen around town, you've seen people running around all the Crawl buildings with these printed programs. This download of information comes from the artist profiles. And so the deadline for the printed program is what is all the information you need on your profile in order to show up in the program. So that's a big one. And a lot of artists miss that because they simply did not complete the profile fully. So you want to go through, and anything that is highlighted with the red asterisks, that is what is needed in order to complete the profile. If you fill out some of the information and scroll down to the bottom and press save, you're not going to show up on the front of the website, and you're not going to have your artist profile completed for us to download for the printed program. So I can quickly walk through. You'll want your name, your first name and last name are required. If you have an alternative display name, that's an option, say a nickname or your artist's business name, and you can choose to put that in, and that is what will show up. You require your phone number. You can keep it private, or you can display it publicly if you want to invite the public to reach you with your phone number, your email, and this is only if you wish to display it, but sorry, that one's not required. So first name, last name, phone number. We scroll down to building. So if you are in a building that has already participated in the Crawl, you can click the drop down and you can see a list of buildings that are here. If you are in a new building and you do not find your building here, you can go and submit a building request. And so go to the new building form. This is something that we have. You can get in touch with me and I can send you this form. And this form fills out all the information needed for me to create the building on the website. And once that's done, you will be able to find the building here. So you just need that extra little step. If you're in a new building for the Crawl, just need to register the building. And then artist info. So you can click any of these that are applicable to your practice. Complete a bio. A lot of folks get stuck on their bio. Sometimes they try to write it in the form. If something happens, websites time out, internet crashes, highly suggest for this and for any online form application for artists, especially with grants, especially with deadlines, write your bio in a Word document and copy paste. And then if anything happens, they don't lose all the work that you put in. So having the bio is required. And then you can skip the socials if you don't have them, but those are the pieces that are required. So anything with the red star, you need those in order to appear on the website and appear in the printed program. So I'm going to jump over to the printed program if you haven't explored that, if you don't know what it is. So we have the printed program, we call it the printed program, but we have it appear online on Issuu. So Issuu is a virtual, essentially a virtual program space, and folks can flip through the printed program. These exist online after the Crawl. So it is, again, another really great directory for the public to find artists. And this summarizes the Crawl programming and then dives into the buildings. So the studio guide, this is what it looks like. And artists are listed under buildings. And then we have the map. So this helps folks navigate across the East Side Arts District to find the locations where their artists are. So it's an incredibly important resource. So we highly encourage that everyone meets the printed program deadline. They look like this again. They're nice and large, and they're a wonderful resource. So another piece, just in terms of materials, the crawl hands out. So each year and actually each spring, and we have ours in the building now. So we will make an announcement inviting artists to pick them up and distribute them at their studios, bring them to their local haunts, coffee shops, restaurants in their neighborhoods, and then also if they're going to any festivals this summer, if they do any like shops or they participate in any festivals around the Lower Mainland, we highly encourage everyone pass around the save the date for the crawl. So this is this year's save the date, and we have one every year, and they're great for people to take and put on their fridge and remember the dates in the fall that they don't want to miss. So please ensure that you connect with our team and you pick these up and you hand them out to your network. They really do help people remember, and they remind folks every time they see them in your studio, they will be like, oh, the crawl, you're in the crawl, that's great. And they'll come back and see you. Additionally, EAS runs a few programs as well as fundraisers. So Take Flight is the name of kind of our overarching fundraising campaign and events. We run two pieces. We run a silent auction, raising money for the organization, and as well we do something that is called Art Roulette. So community of artists within the East Side or connected to our organization, they donate a piece of art and receive some benefits such as option for free crawl registration, and then remaining amounts can receive a tax receipt. And so that artwork gets raffled and goes out to our audiences, and then the money goes to our organization so that we can continue running a lot of our programs that serve the public. So those are pieces of crawl programming. So if you're an artist and you have some works that you have been wanting to donate and don't know where to allocate them, it would be amazing if you reached out to us and offered them to us. And yeah, we want to make sure that you are seen at the crawl. So reach out to your networks with the save the date and ensure that you are listed properly on your profile. The other piece that I'm going to cover is programming. So the crawl runs pre-programming in the weeks prior to the crawl. So the biggest one is the preview exhibit. The preview exhibit is a multi-venue exhibition. It occurs in about 3 or 4 to 5 locations, depending on the year. And it has an overarching theme. As you can see, last year's theme was green. And this exhibition, we have the call out, and the deadline is also around the same time as the printed program. These all fall in September. But what is important about the crawl pre-programming, such as the preview exhibit, we also have talking art and moving art. And these programs offer CARFAC fees for artists. So those allow artists to work towards what is considered a professional practice under the Canada Council or different granting bodies. So if you've received an artist, not just an honorarium, but an artist fee, and especially CARFAC fees are outstanding. These are great opportunities for crawl artists to earn money and through their participation of the crawl. So we highly encourage everyone to submit. I know the crawl theme can sometimes feel a little bit daunting, but it's really encouraged to be thought of in terms of like the broadest perspective. So green, we had a lot of people saying, well, I don't have green in my painting. My ceramics is not green, and that's not it's not required. So think outside the box. It could be greenware. It could be anything that feeling new at the crawl. Maybe it's you're green because it's your first crawl year. Anything that like is really creative. We encourage creativity. So take the crawl theme and run with it, and we encourage artists to apply. I briefly covered, but Talking Art and Moving Art are other programs. So Moving Art, because we don't have video art in the preview exhibits, Moving Art is the opportunity for video-based or film artists to submit. And these get compiled and then screened online on YouTube. In addition, in some years we've partnered with the Lumiere Festival, and they do projections. So there's different programming around the city as well as it being online for audiences to see. And then Talking Art is an artist talk panel. There's a few of them, I think about three each year, and they cover different subjects really depending on the artists that submit. A curator will compile groups of those artists and address an overarching theme that connects all the artists. So they can share about their work, they can talk about their practice, and talk about a specific subject that they want to cover. So again, Moving Art, Talking Art, and Preview Exhibit all offer CARFAC fees. The deadlines are in that for artists section under deadlines, and we highly encourage everyone to apply. It's great to see all the different work, and especially new artists. It's great to see your work as you join and possibly emerge in this community. So those are the programming opportunities that are connected to the crawl. This one it's not a crawl program per se, but it has been attached to the crawl. It's an Eastside Art Society program, and it follows the crawl. It's about 2 weeks following the crawl, and it's called Studio 101. And Studio 101 happens after the crawl because artists have cleared their studios, they've cleaned them up, and they're nice and safe. And so the Studio 101 it's also a paid opportunity for artists who have the space and do offer art workshops in their studios. Studio 101 brings in local students from the Strathcona area, and these are youth, so ages up to about like 8 or 9 to about 12 or 13. And so these students are getting the opportunity to participate in the arts, to get a hands-on art making experience. A lot of the time they are seeing artist studios for the first time. A lot of the time they are seeing the different kinds of medium for the first time and participating in exploring art making for the first time. So these are really exciting opportunities. So if you are an artist, if you offer workshops, and you have a studio that can accommodate around 10 people, this is a program that we highly encourage folks to participate in as well. We are always looking for artists that can host workshops for these students, and it's a wonderful program, and it's a really great cause. So another paid opportunity, and so that kind of covers opportunities for artists that are engaged with the crawl, and our kind of our front marketing. So that was a good bit, and I'm going to stop sharing here. And so yeah, that's kind of the summary of what we exhibit online, and then also what we offer in terms of some some programming and paid opportunities. Yeah, so I will, unless there's any questions on that, it's a bit dense, but I will bump it over to Laura. Laura, thank you so much for joining us and sharing about your experience.
Well, thank you for having me. So I was thinking back, I think I've done it in the crawl about 8 years now, and I thought I would share just some of my experience over those years. And I broke it down into a few different categories. I wanted to talk a little bit first about time and energy. I really believe the crawl is such an amazing opportunity for artists and the community. And I really think it's for artists, it's really what you put into it, you'll get back. And I found you were just talking about the programming. So the art roulette, I just made a note. You were saying the art roulette, uh, the talking art, the moving art, and the preview exhibitions. So I've actually over the years I've taken part in all of those, and they're all extremely worthwhile. They're all very different experiences. I think it's a really good opportunity for artists to dive in. Don't be scared. Don't be intimidated. It's worth taking risks. It's worth stretching your practice a little bit and experimenting with new things if you want to. And I really encourage artists to try and take part in as much as they can. You mentioned about the CARFAC fees too, and I think that's amazing. It's a great opportunity for an artist to take part in the exhibits and the programming as well, because that's not always offered to artists. So for time and energy, I just want number one, I think, is preparation, and it's really what you're putting into your studio, your practice, your work. I think you really need to give yourself enough lead time. I realized that was really important for me. Really what you ideally can do is just sit down, organize your work, organize what you want to show. If you have new work, if you have old work that you want to, refresh and show people, I think that's a great time to do it too. And organize your studio in a way that you can envision people moving through it and enjoying your work and seeing what you're doing, because people are curious, and I think that's really important how you're organizing your studio as well. So installing is also important. The way you install, the way you want to present your work, I think that's really meaningful as well, and also authentic to you as the artist. So I think that those are really important things to do in terms of your time and energy. Also, if you are in a bigger studio, it's also nice to talk to the other artists that are in the studio with you to see what they're doing. Maybe you can, collaborate or kind of work with each other in terms of how you're going to present, and it can give a nice flow sometimes. So the other thing I want to talk about is artwork. I think the more information about your artwork and as you as an artist, the better, whether that's signage, whether that's a bio. I think it's really important because not everyone wants to ask questions. Some people would prefer to read something. So if you do have that information available, even a handout or a takeaway, like a takeaway card or a QR code or something like that, some way of communicating to your audience a little bit about you, to give some background and context of who you are as an artist, and also about your work and your practice. I think that's extremely important. Of course, creating work, we all love to create work as artists, and I think that's, our happy place, and it's important, but that's one step of many in terms of participating in the crawl, because not only are you creating, but you want to put it out there, you want to share it in a way that is meaningful and where people will have an opportunity to see it and view it, and hopefully even buy it if they're interested in buying as well. So that brings me to sales too. I think for sales, it's really important to have your payment set up. So your payment system, whether it's e-transfer, whether it's PayPal, whether it's cash only, and you need a float, just those little details, it makes it a lot easier for you as an artist and for the public when they're coming in, just to be able to have a flow and makes it a lot smoother for you. And so sales signage is important. I often will put labels on my work, just it gives information, and you can often put the price point there. Or if you want to do a list of works where there's a list of works with the price and details of your work there, you can have that too. I've seen people also have something up on their wall that lists the works and number it. So figure out the system that works for you best. There, to me, there's no right or wrong. I think it depends what you're comfortable with too. But there's, numerous ways in terms of how you can present yourself, present your work, and organize yourself. One of the things actually that I think is valuable too is, sometimes our studio spaces are all very different sizes, and people also live in different kinds of homes or have different amounts of wall space or places for art if they're going to purchase it. And so I learned through some of my experiences that people really like to have different scales of work. And I think that that's really, if you can do it, if you can do a different variety of work in terms of sizes, to offer that to people. And if you have different mediums, if you do different mediums as well, that can also be a really great opportunity to show your range as an artist, show your diversification, and it can also be of interest. It's great for conversation as well with the public to just let people know what you do in the studio and what your mediums are, and they can learn more about your practice. The other thing that I thought was really important is engagement. Engagement is, I can't stress it enough, I guess. It's we're all different, and some of us are more I guess more prone to want to talk to people. I mean, most people that are coming into our studios, we're welcoming everyone, but a lot of people are strangers, so sometimes it can be difficult to kind of start a conversation maybe. But I really think that this is a really good opportunity to meet other people, engage with the public, engage with audience, take this opportunity as an artist to talk about your practice, or even if you just introduce yourself and say you're the artist, and if you have any questions about my work, please ask. Something simple like that, it can often start a conversation. I've met so many amazing, wonderful people through the crawl, as a result of the crawl, whether it's people that were just interested in my work and curious, or people that later did a commission, or as you were saying before, Sam, there was film work opportunities. There's all these opportunities that can come as a result of the crawl that you may not even realize. I know that interior design opportunities can come up, collaborations with other artists, or fashion design. It's endless. But I think if we take the opportunity to kind of introduce ourselves, put ourselves out there a little bit, then they're more apt to happen. In terms of engagement too, there are simple things that you can do, such as takeaway cards, just maybe some of your artwork on a card, like a postcard, information about yourself, contact information, website, Instagram. I found that those really are great, and people take them and really like them. You can put a mailing list out, so you can have a mailing list where people can write their names in case you have any workshops or events or exhibits, or anything that might help build your client list as well. That can be really helpful. And often people want to put their name on that list because they want to be informed of what's coming up for you. And then signage, that was the other thing. I think it's really important to have your name somehow. I mean, it's simple as getting some vinyl if you want vinyl, or even making a sign yourself. But if you have your name and maybe your Instagram and your website up on your wall somewhere, just to outline that this is your space and you're the artist. And then it's visible and easy to see. I would suggest also putting business cards out, and if you don't have them, I would suggest getting them. It's worth the expense. You can also, in terms of engaging the public, you can also do giveaways. That's something that I've done in the past, which is really helpful and can be fun. and is a way of meeting people as well. I also one year made buttons, and I made 500 buttons, and I thought it would be a good conversation piece. And they went in half a day, and it was so worthwhile because it was just something. It was an easy, it was accessible, it was a takeaway. I found that people really liked something like a little memento to, remember, a little souvenir to remember the crawl by, and so that was really fun and really worthwhile. I also think too you could do something as simple as putting your laptop up visible with your website on it, just showing, and so people can just look at, you can just let them know your website's here, and you can look at the website with them or show them, and they can interact the website that way. Um, Something I haven't done, but I know other artists, and I think it's a really great idea, is making, while you're in your own studio, maybe you're painting something or there's a work in progress. And I know people really enjoy seeing an artist creating, and I think that that could be really fun and engaging. Um, and then another, not during the crawls, well, during the crawl, you could do this too if you have time, but considering it can be very busy, social media can also be something in terms of engagement. It's not, in person, but it is a way definitely to engage and definitely promote that you're in the crawl and that you're going to be there and you're doing it. I think that's really worthwhile too. And then lastly, I wanted to just mention about working with artists and working with other artists. Um, I think that's really important too. Just to give you an example, last crawl, I did some collaborations with some other artists who were part of the crawl. We just talked about collaborations. They were part of the crawl, and then we made my studio into more of a gallery space, and um, launched and featured these collaborations. And it was so fun. Like as an artist, it was so fun to work with other artists and um, just inject a different energy. And it felt really refreshing and something new and vibrant. And I really just want to encourage other artists to maybe take that opportunity to do the same. And if you're thinking of doing something a little different, just approach another artist if you are thinking of, a collaboration or diversifying your practice a little bit. It's a great opportunity, and you've got a lot of eyes during the crawl attending. So it is a great opportunity to try something new and maybe take a few risks if you're feeling up to it. It's worth it. Um, so the other thing I just want to say, what's really important is have fun. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, but it's well worth it. It's a lot of time and energy, but it is a lot of fun. And if it wasn't a lot of fun, people wouldn't be coming back and doing it, and they do. And it's such a big event. It's incredible the support the community gives us. It's incredible the attendance. People look forward to this event every year. And so I think if you put your best foot forward and enjoy it, it's meaningful, worthwhile, and you'll feel the vibrancy and the support of the community and the support of other artists, and just take advantage of an amazing opportunity.
I want to clap.
Thank you so much for sharing, Laura. I really appreciate it. Steph, do you want to take the floor and you can share about your experience?
Yes. So yeah, lots of things that Laura said, I totally agree with. And we'll just like build on some things that she already said from my experience. Um, the first thing I want to say is about what to do before the crawl. One thing is really promoting your specific studio. Lots of people know about the crawl, and lots of people might not know where to go. So they go to the same places every year, or they might not know where to find you specifically. So rather than just promoting the crawl, I think it's really important to promote your studio. So if you're putting it out if you have a newsletter and then on socials, or even if you run into people, make sure they know the name of your studio and the address of your studio. Um, we do have like the program, and we do a lot to promote the crawl in general and like different areas in the East Side. But if you promote your studio to your network, that's really important. So encouraging like your family and friends to come, that's going to be like I'm just an emerging artist, so a lot of the people that are going to show up for me are going to be family and friends, especially if you do not have a lot of people at your studio. Like if your studio only has two, three, four artists, people might not know about the studio or might not gravitate towards that because they see, oh, I can go here and there's 20 artists, and then I can go here and there's 30 artists. So I think making sure you tell your friends and family to come and see you is a big thing, and encouraging them to bring their friends. So encourage your network to come and make sure they know how excited you are about it and that you would really appreciate if they bring their network. I think that especially if you're an emerging artist and you don't have like a large following, or you don't have a lot of like collectors, it's really important to leverage your like personal network. My first crawl, I had like tons of friends come out, and it was really fun. And then they get to see my studio and all that. So yes, I would really stress doing that. Um, so sharing your specific studio, and another way to promote your studio and kind of the area that your studio is in, is to make like a mini map. I saw some people doing this last year and I thought it was very clever. The studio that I was in, we have three studios very close by. So it's all walking distance. So all of those studios were promoting like, hey, come to this very specific area of the neighborhood, you can come to our studio, and then you could go here and here and here. So making like a mini walkable area for people to explore, because our map is like super full. Like there's tons of studios, and you could walk to all of them, but you can't get through all of them. Like there's so much to see. So really encouraging people like, come here and we're gonna give this to you in a digestible way. Like come here, start here, and then go here, and then here, and you'll land here if you make it that far, depending on, how chatty you are and all that. But yes, making like a little itinerary for people and sharing that on your socials or just like word of mouth, that I thought was a really great idea when I saw people doing that. Um, and what else did I say here? Another way to like have really engaging, I think, content or posts, if it's in social media or in your newsletter, is sharing experiences that you've had in past crawls. So it's really great to share that you're in crawl. It's really great to show like your latest artwork. But I think lots of people, we really like storytelling. So if you say why you're excited about crawl, last year, this, and that, or like, Laura's like, I've been in crawl for 8 years, like things like that, like it's very unique and it's special and it's engaging, so people are more likely to remember you and maybe, be like, oh, this person had something unique to say. I'm gonna seek them out and visit their studio during crawl. So that can be another way to kind of draw people to your little corner of the map, wherever it may be. Um, and then again, before crawl, Laura touched on this, but being able to speak about your art, it's very important. I think we often are writing things, we write down things that go wherever out on the internet, or we print it out. But I think practicing like actually speaking about your art, we speak in a lot more organic way than we write, and we have different lengths of time that we're engaging with people at crawl. So I think it's important to have like a really short spiel, and then you're full on, like if somebody is engaging and really asking about your practice, like let me tell you about my practice, whatever you're comfortable talking about, of course. But I think when somebody walks in, it's kind of like an intimate environment. Like they might not want to approach you, or they might not really know how to engage if they haven't been in that environment before. So if you just walk in and you're like, "Hi, I'm Steph. Like, thank you for visiting. Like, these are all my latest paintings on this side. On this side, it's all my newer stuff. I'm a mixed media artist. I like to blah 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 blah." And then have your little opening. People can either say like, "Oh, great, thank you." You kind of leave them alone, and or maybe they'll engage, and then you can really be like, "Yeah, I'm inspired by this and that," and really like get more of a dialogue. Um, so yeah, I think practicing speaking, if it's by yourself or with somebody that you're close to. Last year I practiced kind of like with my studio mates because we were like, or the year prior was my first year in crawl, and I was kind of like, yeah, I've written this down, but am I gonna like, what am I gonna say, you know? And you end up saying the same thing over and over again, so it becomes more natural, and you know you'll know what to say about your work, but I think having like, yeah, an organic way to engage with people that's not like, you're writing a very formal grant or formal formalized statement about your work. I think Laura's suggestion of printing something like that off is a really good idea for people that don't want to engage as much. If you have an artist statement about your background, that's really great. I love reading stuff when I'm in people's studios or anywhere. And then that can also prompt them to ask questions. I bring some of my friends to these things that aren't in the art world, and so sometimes they're like, "Yeah, don't even like really know what to ask them." Like, and then, they see something interesting and they ask them about that, and it leads to something else. So I think giving people openings to engage is very important. But yeah, engage with everyone, even if you're in conversation and you just say hi, like Laura said, like let the people know that it's your studio. Um, I've walk in a lot of studios, and you're probably going to have a lot of people that want to speak with you. If it's especially Saturday, it's really busy. But just like smile and a wave, like, "Hey, I noticed you're here." People will stay longer and be more likely to engage. And yeah, you want them to feel welcomed in that space, not like, "Oh, hey, I'm talking to somebody." Most, not all, art studios are like, smaller. So if there's a few people in there, it can be awkward if they're just like standing beside you having a conversation with somebody, and you haven't kind of welcomed them into the space. So yeah, that's a little bit of a balancing act. Um, I don't know if you have any other things to share on that, Laura.
No, I think everything you're saying is right on. I think there's so many people, like it's so busy, and which is wonderful, and it's really hard sometimes too to talk to everyone or try and, especially on the weekend, I find, Saturday and Sunday tend to be historically really busy. So that's one of the things I learned, is that because I really like to try and interact with everyone, and I really feel, for me, I really feel comfortable, and I think there's nothing that can replace in person, but I just was finding it challenging to try and say hello to everyone or introduce my work. So that's why I ended up putting, like, I'd put a QR code. I did that because some people just, it's quick, and then they go look around, they'll do the QR code, they'll look around, then they'll come back when they see that there's less people so they can talk to you, but they've read a little bit about, what's on the QR code, whether it's your bio or the list of work or whatever information you have there, or an artist statement or what have you. But then one year or a couple years, I also put a bio as well. So that was up there so people could, see a little bit of background and context or what my work is about. So it's just different ways of informing people and to make it accessible, because people have different comfort levels too, like you're saying, with communication. So just kind of covering the bases, I guess. And sharing your information, right? You're sharing your work. That's visual, they can see that, but information, the that might create other dialogue is important too.
Yes, definitely. So yeah, if you're not super outgoing, that's definitely okay. You know,
Mhm.
you don't have to go into your whole life story or anything, but being able to like give like a little synopsis about who you are and what you do. It doesn't have to be anything too personal, but you are, you know, trying to engage with people
Yeah,
and so that's good to have that set up.
a little
Uh,
artist bio.
yeah, yeah.
I found I was going to say about in terms of communicating and having things out there too. One of the things that I found is I really think it's important if you are selling work or hoping to sell work to have the prices on. I've found that that's really important because not everyone wants to ask what the prices of something. So having the prices on, I would highly encourage people to do having it on your work or a list of works with the prices. But I think it's just really quick if you have something like a label with the price and name of or size, and it cuts back on questions too because it's there, people can see it, and you don't always have a lot of time. So it cuts back on questions.
Yeah, that's a very good point. People, I think, sometimes might be nervous to hear the price and then be like, oh no. You know, they're like, I don't even want to ask because if it's too high and then I don't follow through with the transaction. Like, I think people think if they ask the price, they have to be like, I'm going to buy the item. So it's nice to give them a more accessible way to find out that information.
Yeah.
And listing the names of artworks as well.
Mhm.
I feel like I've bought artworks just because the name resonates with me, and like, so I feel like it's just another way to engage people and give them more information about your art and kind of the thought behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like you say, Steph, people like to know the story. They want to know the background. I mean, I find a lot of because people are curious. They're getting an opportunity to see behind the scenes. It's so fun. I mean, I love seeing where artists are making and creating. So yeah, I think people want to hear and are curious about the story and background and context of work and a little bit about the artist.
Yes, definitely. Um, and yeah, to build off of the like the background and kind of like the process of making, one thing that I really like is when people are making their studios still feel like there's some of their materials and equipment around. There's totally different ways to set up your studio, and I think it's definitely great to clear out a lot of stuff to maximize the amount of room for people to walk in, walk around, and wall space, put everything up that can go up. But if you have like a couple of paints that you always use or a palette lying around that you're not, worried about it being messy, or like lots of people have their paintbrushes hanging on the walls, like those things are very unique and charming, and people that don't go into art studios very much don't see these materials. So people find these materials very interesting.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know if I have it. Oh yeah, I have on hand. I'll show you the thing that one of the things that was like most photographed at my first crawl is one of these. Oh, here. Um, I do like little recipes to remember the paint that I mixed. So at my first crawl, this was the thing that was most photographed in my studio. And I think it was because it's like something to do with the studio. Like it's
Mhm.
just so that I remembered what I mixed because I used raw canvas to see how it dried and looked together. And so people were like very interested in seeing that like behind the scenes thing. So I think, if you have anything like that, like this was pinned on my wall just because I had it there. But if you have these things lying around, pin them on the wall. It makes it like a fun experience for people to be like in the studio. It's not just a gallery tour. Um,
And it shows it's a working studio. It's a place of work, place of making and creating, you know? I think that's such an awesome idea, stuff that you had that up.
mhm. Yeah, it's fun. Like, if there's paint on the floor, leave it there. Like clean so that it's organized, but you don't need to make it pristine if you don't want to. Lots of people make actually like beautiful studios and they will like repaint their walls and have it very pristine for crawl, which also looks very great. But yeah, do whatever is in your capacity. So the other thing would be like Laura said this, but like give yourself a lot of lead time. I would say start cleaning earlier than you think, and if you're gonna frame stuff, start that very early.
Mhm. I think
Um,
that's a good, that's a good
yeah,
point because keep in mind there's a lot of people that are trying to frame around the same time you are probably.
that's true
Opus
too.
Opus gets busy. There's places that get busy, and I have been in. I was in a situation where some frames they ran out of the frames, so it is always good to start a little bit earlier.
If you know it's something you want to do, just do it slowly over time. Um, Speaking of time, I know we only have like 5 minutes left, so I'll just go really quickly. I mostly wanted to talk about that like prep beforehand because I thought that was very important. During crawl, we
No
already
rush. You can take your time. We don't have to cut it at an hour, but
oh, okay.
yeah, no
Okay,
problem.
awesome. Um,
It's because we
During
have
crawl,
so much to great experiences from the crawl. We can't leave them out, Steph.
yes, I know it's good. Just making sure. I didn't know if you had anywhere you needed to run off to. Um, but yeah, that was my before the crawl. During the crawl, we talked about it's important to engage with everyone. Obviously, do what you can. It's very long. It's like a marathon of a weekend. So, one thing that I think is it could be good if it works for you is making sure you take breaks. Like you can take a break to go and like eat or go and like take space and if you can invite like a friend or family member to like stand in for you for that like 15 minutes or however long you need. I think keeping your energy up because the weekend days are very long and there's 4 days in a row. So especially for people who have like day jobs. So I worked in the week, did the crawl weekend, and then went back to work Monday morning. So it's like, it's nice to be able to sustain your energy and you want to be able to show up as your best self for like everyone that comes in. So if you can, um, see if even if it's just like a studio mate that's across the hall, just have them like pop in or whatever it is. If there's like a slower time, can kind of like strategize when you're gonna swap out with each other or better yet, like have another friend who's very engaging and enthusiastic. Be like, hey, come and explore my studio when you're here. You know me very well. Can you stand in for me for a few minutes while I like go sit down outside or just have quiet time? Um, so that's something, I think is very good. Lots of
That's
people
that's
kind of,
valuable information.
yeah, I think lots of people don't know how tiring it is when you're starting the crawl, but it's a lot of talking. And so, yes, I would say take breaks, bring yourself snacks or know what you're going to do for food because, there's 2 evenings and then 2 full days. And, if there's not food very close by, just like keep that in mind that like this is a long thing that you want energy for. So, if you clear out your studio, like maybe think about leaving a chair there. So maybe you do want to like sit down for a few minutes because yeah, it's a lot of standing and maybe somebody else also wants to use the chair if they're walking around for a very long time. That can make people stay in your space longer. Bringing snacks for yourself, but also lots of people have said that like having snacks in your studio for others also has them stay longer in your studio and more likely to engage. So that's a strategy I've heard people use. Obviously, be cautious of, maybe labeling if there's any sort of allergies or anything like that. But yeah, if you have snacks, people are known to stay in a space longer. Um,
I
and
always have
oh,
cold drink stuff. If you do have
yes.
a little fridge, I know quite a few people have little, but anyways, cold drinks were always nice. It was just, I usually had water or something. Also something for yourself, but Yeah, it is nice to be able to offer because it can get hot. It is nice to be able to offer people a cold drink.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very good point. Lots of studios are like kind of old warehousey spaces, so there's not usually, tons of circulation. So even though it's in November, it still can be pretty warm and maybe stuffy. So that's something to bear in mind for sure. Um, and then Laura did mention this about mailing lists. Even if you do not have a mailing list, put out a piece of paper to start a mailing list. I encouraged this to my friends that didn't have mailing lists. I said, this is how you start it. This is when you're going to start it. You want to like keep those connections that you make and those people that are really, invested in your story or really like your work. You want to be able to tell them what you're doing next. And, if you don't have a ton going on throughout the year, that's okay. You can send out something before crawl the next year, and maybe they'll come back and engage again and bring a friend. So I think it's really important to have that set up. And another thing Laura mentioned was giveaways. I know for myself, if somebody says, sign up to my newsletter, you might win this artwork, I sign up every time. And like maybe I'm like 50-50 on signing up for their newsletter, but if they're raffling off an artwork, I'm like, definitely like that's amazing. And so I think that's a really great way to engage people, and people love the opportunity to win a thing.
And you can
Uh,
also do that. I have actually done in the past on Instagram where I've, trying to utilize Instagram as a tool and sharing, I'm in this show for the preview exhibit or what have you, and I'm doing a giveaway as well. So it actually it's amazing the response that you can get. And it is about making connections and sharing your work in some way too.
hmm Yeah, making the connections and maintaining the connections,
Mm.
right? So that kind of leads me to my post crawl. So like after the crawl, I think it's really good to use that newsletter and your socials to like show what your weekend was and like thank people for coming. And you might have new people that have followed you or signed up to your newsletter. So it's good to be like pretty much right away, like, hey, remember me? Like um, they probably saw a lot of faces that weekend. It's a lot going on, and usually people engage for a number of hours. So if you what I think is a good idea is to maybe make like an outline of it before the crawl, because we're all super tired after. Have a little outline like, oh, I'm gonna thank people, and then add in your more specific details about the weekend and specific photos or something about the weekend afterwards. But I'm a pre-planner. So it's like I know I'm gonna be so tired for a week or two after crawl. I'm gonna like have this outline ready, and then you can keep that connection or like start building that connection with people that just found you. Um, yeah, and then the last point I have is just to take stock of what worked and what didn't work for you, what you did well, what you might change next year. So like I noticed that this was something people really engaged in, so it's like, okay, I'll definitely have something like that up in the future. Um, and other little things, like lots of people are like, oh, uh do you have business cards? Maybe you noticed people asked you a lot and you didn't have business cards. Those sort of things I think are important to like write down. You remember them right now. They just happened. But it's another whole year until the crawl again. So I think those sort of things are good. Like, oh, my energy really dropped at this time. That's when I'm going to take a break or ask my friend to come and stand in for me next year. That sort of thing, I think it's really important because, you're probably going to be hopefully in crawl for a very long time, and you want to learn from your experience and then keep growing.
I think that's really smart to take stock at the end, what you're saying, Steph, because you do forget it's a lot, right? It's a lot compacted into 4 days. So it's good to see what worked, what maybe you could do different and change it up.
Yeah. So yeah, that's all I have. So if there's any questions for any of us, feel free to ask now.
I don't have any questions, but that was all really great.
Hey, great. I hope it was very useful.
It was. It really was. Yeah. I'm just taking it all in.
Awesome.
Thank
And I
you so
like
much,
the
Steph
like
and
the
Laura.
pre and the during and then the post, right? Like you don't really think, oh yeah, after. There's
Hmm.
still work you can be doing.
Yes. Yeah, I think it's, such a whirlwind kind of weekend. And then, yeah, it's like you made these connections, which is great in itself, but maintaining them is kind of the goal, right? Like keep that community building alive. And yeah.
I think I'm just want to jump in, and a question that I get from artists and comment that comes up a lot is how much the artists would love to connect with each other. And it's tough because they're all representing themselves in their studios, so they're siloed. And I think both of you touched on it really well. Posting on social media, sharing what you're doing. I think that also really the thing to encourage is following others and seeing what they are posting. These are your fellow crawl artists, opportunities for collaborations and connections, as Laura spoke about, and Steph touched upon, like connecting with your studio mates and collaborating, practicing. There are lots of opportunities to connect. We have lots of tools at our disposal for social connections. So really, we highly encourage artists to follow one another, look through the crawl website, look at other artists' work. Their contact information is there, their socials are there. It's a directory for artists just as much as it is for audiences. So don't be shy. Reach out if you're curious about a building, if you're curious about a practice. Connect with one another. It's the great opportunity is there, and the information is all available. Um, and I think the other big one is the preview exhibits. Um, and it being important that come out to that event, come out to the opening for the preview, and try to see all the venues as fellow crawl artists. It's really important that you support one another, that you get that is the opportunity to meet one another. The studios aren't open yet, so that's kind of a platform. We also want to acknowledge that those venues are all accessible in terms of wheelchair accessibility, and that's part of the strategy for the preview exhibits is not all the buildings are accessible. So this is an accessible space for the public to see the artwork. So you can meet many different audience members that you may not be able to connect with in their studio. There's lots of opportunities for getting out there, putting yourself out there, connecting. And so, lots of rich things can happen from that point. So that's a big one that we want to also encourage. But yeah, I think and I feel like this this platform, like this opportunity, I met Laura when she was dropping off her artwork when we were installing the preview exhibit. That was the first time we connected.
Right.
And I've been an audience member of the crawl before I was on staff. So if I hadn't met Steph in our office, I probably would have met her in the crawl. And so it's the crawl is a great connector, and that is really the whole point. So don't be afraid, put yourself out there, and yeah, you got some great tips from these great artists. I encourage you all to take them up. All right, thank you everyone for joining us. And if you have any questions, my name is Samantha Mains. I'm the artist coordinator for EAS. My email is acc@eastsideartsociety.ca, and reach out if you've got any questions or concerns. I'm happy to hear and here to help. Have a good night, everyone.
Thanks so much, Sam. Thank you, Steph. Nice to
Thank
see you,
you.
Bev. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you guys. It was great.
Happy crawling, everyone.
Happy crawling.
Take care.